It was just accounts that were sued, not him. Accounts in his name that were sued. So how could you indict him? If you look at those documents too, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was not mentioned as a defendant. People have skipped that. It was only account numbers that were mentioned, and at the end of the day, they just said account numbers in the name of Tinubu. That is all. Not that Tinubu was a defendant. It was accounts in his name, not him. Those accounts were sued, not him.
Keyamo. I thought the devil is the father of all lies until I started coming across people like you. Welcome back. This is BVI Channel 1, where we tell you undiluted gospel truth. Keyamo. I thought the devil is the father of all lies until I started coming across people like you. People like you that speak from all sides of their mouth. There's no point going back to what you said in the past about the same man Tinubu that you are defending now, because I've said that, I've already published that. But for you to look at Nigerians to their faces and think we are fools, rethink. Because the conversation you had with Seun is a disgrace to your personality and a clear indication that you are unrepentant political sycophant that can do anything to retain his job. All right, this is the conversation.
Again, court papers in relation to APC presidential candidates' antecedents in the United States and some of the issues in his past resurfaces, posing several questions. We get some reactions and official clarifications on the issues. Now, tonight, we will focus our attention and try to make sense of the antecedents of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the APC. There are two major issues that have come out of the United States, and these matters have come as far as 1993. And now, these issues relating to narcotics, and on the other hand, relating to money laundering, and some of the court papers emanating from the courts in the United States. Where does Mr. Bola Tinubu stand in all of this? What are the real issues? Is there anything still hanging over his head on this matter? We'll look at it. What are the implications on his mandate as a ticket bearer of the APC presidential campaign? Now, the APC Presidential Campaign Organization has been reacting, saying the claims are not founded and they are baseless. But tonight, we'll be getting some explanations, official one, on this matter. And I'm being joined by the official spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Organization and Director of Public Affairs and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who is also the Minister of State for Labor. He joins us live from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Leonard Sik, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Let's start by first and foremost allowing you to explain to Nigerians the position of your principal and perhaps giving you the opportunity to explain what really happened. I mean, one can guess that there might not be any kind of convictions, but there was some kind of indictment. But you are a senior lawyer. Explain to us the stories or the issues Bola Tinubu had in relation to first narcotics and that of money laundering.
Well, thank you, Aishewu. This is all a storm in a teacup, nothing more than that. If you ask me, none of these allegations deserve any explanation again because they have been explained over and over again. But let me go straight to the issues like you've mentioned. Yes, there is a simplistic letter, a letter that is simple enough. We can go straight to that first of all, from the US government in 2003 that says that that letter was signed by the legal attaché to the US Embassy in Lagos that says that they investigated or made inquiries from the government of the United States, and they came to the conclusion, officially they wrote back, one Michael Bonnet also, wrote back at that time saying that there was no indictment, no criminal indictment, no conviction, nothing of that sort regarding Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me explain. An action in rem is an action where you proceed against properties, not against the person. So what they did at that time was that they proceeded against certain accounts. And those accounts bore companies that were linked to Bola Tinubu or the ones personally held by him. Those accounts were 10 accounts in 3 banks. 10 accounts, let me repeat, 10 different accounts in 3 different banks. More, accounts legitimately opened by him, opened, in normal procedure by him. They didn't find any problem with that. And there were funds that he kept saving, where he was keeping his savings in the US. If you look at those documents too, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was not mentioned as a defendant. People have skipped that. It was only account numbers that were mentioned, and at the end of the day, they just said account numbers in the name of Tinubu. That is all. Not that Tinubu was a defendant. It was accounts in his name, not him. Those accounts were sealed, not him.
Yeah.
It was just the opinion of a prosecutor trying to convince the court.
Yeah. Hold on.
Issue a forfeiture.
Yeah, you said that. You've said that a few times. No, I allowed you to explain to Nigerians, first and foremost, the exalted #1 seat of Nigeria is such a respected one that anyone who wants to fill that seat must come with some level of integrity. And the reasons why we're having this conversation is for Nigerians who will decide to be able to know who they are voting for. Now, and I've allowed you to explain the ramifications, not thinking that you're talking to me directly, you're talking to Nigerians. But first and foremost, I'd like to ask you some very quick questions. First and foremost, were the account numbers involved that of Bola Tinubu?
Yes, not only him, companies were linked to, and his relatives. People should take note of that. His relatives.
All right.
Including his mother, including his aged mother, that Elijah Mogaji. So what do you want to do? You want to link her to what?
I said, just a moment, Senior Advocate. I said I have quick questions, and I like you because it's the background to the next questions. I mean, the series of questions I'm going to ask you. Did Bola Tinubu contest or concede ownership of the account numbers?
He did not. He actually owned up to them. At a point when they were calling him on phone, if you look at the affidavit of Kevin Moss, perhaps he skipped 1 or 2 accounts who were in the UK, because normally, like we do in the EFCC, they will first of all ask for your disclosure of all your properties and accounts once you are brought in. It's a standard procedure. They will ask for it.
Mr. Keyamo, if I may quickly ask you, and I have very short questions also.
Yes.
Would you liken the settlement that Bola Tinubu had with the court in the United States at the time over these monies as a sort of a plea bargain?
No. A plea bargain, you cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. A plea bargain must arise out of a criminal charge. Like I said, there is no charge, nothing anywhere, nothing like a charge anywhere. All he did, in fact, if you look at that, let me just refer you to it. This is for 30 seconds.
You established
this is for 30 seconds.
That there was a forfeiture. Just for a moment. You established that there was a forfeiture. But if there was a forfeiture that was made, and that kind of forfeiture is still subsisting, and it has a criminal nature, that has not been set aside up to date. No. A forfeiture, you see, that's why I said you should take a paper and a biro. This is a lecture class for you. A forfeiture is not something hanging on your neck. It's a permanent settlement, and everybody will shake your hands and go your way. Now, look at that settlement signed by the counsel to Asiwaju then and the counsel to the state, to the United States. I want you to look at paragraph 6, page 2 of that settlement. I refer you again, paragraph 6, page 2 of the settlement signed. In that paragraph 6, they were even begging Asiwaju. They said that, look, please don't proceed against us again. This is a final settlement between us. Go your way, we go our way. Out of the 10 accounts,
it was only one account, the one in Heritage Bank, that they took $460,000 as their tax on his interest, as tax on interest, that he benefited from the deposits he made, that the investments he made in those accounts. And they gave him 9 accounts. In fact, all the monies in Heritage Bank was not taken. They took only 460, calculated it as a tax, and said, please go your way. Now, I want you to look at that paragraph 6. They were begging him. The lawyers, the United States, they were begging. These documents, in fact, rather than indict Asiwaju, these documents exculpate him and makes him as white as snow.
Let me get back to the conversation. And the question that a lot of Nigerians would like you to answer tonight, and perhaps they probably would have wanted to even hear directly from the man in question, your presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But there's a fundamental question on the source of the money he deposited, of which he reached a settlement. Has he given a satisfactory explanation of the source of the funds?
Well, thank you so much. Now, at that point, the burden was on the prosecution in the U.S., or from the states in the U.S., to prove that the funds were proceeds of narcotics. Now, that if you look at paragraph, I want you to go to paragraph 2 of the affidavit of Kevin Moss. He kept saying that it was his reasonable suspicion. It was like probable cause, probable belief. It was speculative. All of it was speculative. They had not come to a definite conclusion. Let me tell you what happened. Now, if you see the whole gamut of that affidavit, it was more or less like, well, you know, it happens to all of us, Nigerians. You go to a new land, you go to a new place abroad, any Nigerian you see, especially from your own tribe, they become like brothers to you. You associate with them, you visit them. You may do 1 or 2 transactions. You may not exactly know what they are involved in. You may not know what they are involved in. It happens to all of us. And you can see that the whole of that investigation actually touched on 2 or 3 Nigerians. So let me admit that. That had nothing to do with Asiwaju. And I don't want to mention their names here. People should go and read about it because they have families in Nigeria. The other Nigerians, two of them, who were actually linked to narcotics. One of them was actually arrested. That one made confessional statements and confessed another Nigerian as the one involved. But that principal suspect, read that affidavit, never mentioned the name of Asiwaju. What happened? Asiwaju went to open an account. The address by which he opened the account was an address already, you know, used by these people. I think some block of flats. Maybe he happened to be in that block of flats too. So they now linked it to say, oh, well, these other people they were investigating for narcotics, they are in the same address used by Asiwaju to open that account. So that is what is there. I cannot deviate from it.
Just a moment, a moment. Let me push the question so that you can put it together.
Yes.
The version of the story you're saying tonight, and for those who are a bit more privy to what really happened, there are allegations, and I don't know if you are aware, that your principal was a member of a drug cartel for which is said to, in fact, they say he was a treasurer. And I was asking you about the source because this is going to premise the question I'm going to ask next. So I'd like you to also be careful in the answer so that my next question might be favorably answered too. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Please do not deviate from the affidavit. I want everybody to fact check the 2 of us. There was no, they never mentioned him as the treasurer. They said he was treasurer of Mobile. They never said he was treasurer of any narcotics group. What they said was that he was found to have worked for an organization, owned by the people they were investigating. That he worked for that organization, that distribution organization. He worked for them without going into details, without having any proof of it. I'm very careful about the phrase that was used in that affidavit by Kevin Moss. Because you see, with a trained eye and the trained eye of a prosecutor, I read every line one by one. I've done this more than 10 years ago and came to the conclusion that Asiwaju had nothing to do with this. After they went all the rigmarole of investigating those 2 individuals, Nigerian, they now came to the point of Asiwaju. They now came to the point that where they now found out that part of the friends, relatives, that's what they use, friends and relatives, who worked for that organization owned by these people was somebody known as Asiwaju. That is all, that Tinubu. That's how they came to that. That's how they came to link him. Normally, they do that as a sweeping investigation.
Senior Advocate, let me refer you to Section 137 of the Constitution 1D, subsection 1D, which says that a person under a sentence of imprisonment or fine for any offense involving dishonesty or fraud by whatever name it's called, or for any other offenses imposed on him by any court or tribunal shall not be qualified to contest for the office of the President of Nigeria. In view of the forfeiture and the settlement that Bola Tinubu had in the United States, as a senior advocate of Nigeria, what are the legal implications of that circumstance, considering the Section 137, subsection 1D of the Constitution?
Well, forfeiture is not a fine.
That's your argument, and you
it's the law.
debated on that.
It was just accounts that were sued, not him. Accounts in his name that were sued. So how could you indict him if there was no account? Then secondly,
how many accounts are we talking about?
10 accounts.
How many accounts are we talking about?
10 accounts, 10 accounts in 3 banks. In 3 banks.
In one person's name. How modern?
No, not in one person. Not in one person. They were once linked to his mother.
I just asked you how many accounts belonging here.
He took responsibility for all of them because they were all Tinubu family and all that. His mother was there, his companies were there, his brother was there. He just took responsibility for all of them.
Just a moment. You're saying forfeiture is not a punishment. But don't you think that it's a penalty? I mean, for you to forfeit, is it not a penalty?
No. Penalty is, penalty is when they take something belonging to you and they say, look, they are imposing a fine or penalty on you. Forfeiture is that, look, this thing we think is our tax. Look at paragraph 38 now. They say it's tax. What belongs to them, they are just taking out, so you can go.
Perhaps I should read the meaning of forfeiture. Part of the dictionary meaning of forfeiture is the loss or giving up of something as a penalty for wrongdoing. In the United States, in the dimension of what you have explained tonight is criminal in nature. Just a moment.
I've got to answer your question.
I'm telling
let me answer your question. Let me answer your question.
Just a moment.
Because you are interposing your opinion. No, you are interposing your opinion. If you want to interpose your opinion, come and sit down here. You're arguing with me.
No.
You are not asking questions. You're arguing with me. But you are arguing with me, you are not asking the question.
What the dictionary says is different.
So the dictionary definition is different from legal definition. Read it again. Look at all the papers. Asiwaju was never a defender. It was the accounts that were attached, not him as a person.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Festus Keyamo, for your time tonight. I mean, I reported you being a lawyer in the courtroom severally in Lagos. I won't be surprised any less for your arguments tonight and the manner of your approach. You are always very, how would I put it now? You're very, very activated lawyer in the courtroom, which you have brought to bear. I mean, this is not about the journalists. It's about you politicians and what you want the people to believe. And so we have given you the opportunity to explain to Nigerians, and they are the judge tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Keyamo. And Nigerians, you've heard him, and you've heard the side of Bola Tinubu tonight. And that's our show tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.
Good. Every one of you have had it. This is just the highlight. But all I can put in addition to what, or my submission to the few things you have watched, make up your own decision, because I'm not here to take your decision for you. But my own opinion to this is that we always say, if you pass backyard and people pant and properties got missing, who are you? No, your answer is as good as mine. Anytime you waka pass, something will get missing. Anytime you waka pass, something will get missing. Who are you, if not a thief? You are talking about his not being involved. We know how smart this, what do you call it, drug cartels are in running their illicit business. They don't do anything much to get themselves directly involved. And for you to have a 10 accounts connected to one man linked to illicit drug cartel business.
That the man is an indicted drug money launderer is not in argument, but convicted. No, I don't believe that is the case. There is an indictment and there is money forfeiture based on a no contest plea by Mr. Tinubu himself, but he didn't go as far as a conviction as far as I can tell. You can't look at this in isolation. And I say you can't look at this in isolation, especially in the light of what the High Court just said, that the man has to come and defend the case in the High Court here, seeking to disqualify him. There are plethora of allegations sufficient to have allowed any right-thinking person to have withdrawn from the race. But the man has persisted. So if we are now dealing with legalese, which is different from morality, if we're dealing with legalese, the reality is that you cannot ask him not to run solely on the basis of an indictment to which he had pleaded no contest. If you're looking at the issue of certificates, forgeries, the issue of a lack of provenance or pedigree, where did the man go to secondary school, primary school, what happened in the first years of his life, like he disappeared, like Jesus disappeared for the first 12 years, those are valid questions, but they can only relate to morality. They are not issues of legality. It is we as the people who have to decide whether that is a character that we want representing us as a collective, as a people. Is that the Nigerian president? That is the point when because if we pretend not to know, the rest of the world are well aware of what we are fooling ourselves not to see. So it's a function of moral suasion. If people are persuaded that they have no problem with having a person of questionable character as the president, that's their call, really. That's sometimes the ugliness of democracy. But when it comes to the issue of if that is sufficient as a bar, I do not believe it is.
It speaks volume. But like Pharaoh Timid said, this election is not just about, or this issue of Tinubu being indicted or connected to drug, whatever court case, is not even the main thing. Because it is the issue of morality and legality. Just like you are saying, on legality, he has no case to answer. Fine and good. But on morality, we Nigerians, now we be the judge. Because now we be government.
Now we be government.
And so idio, now we be the people, the suffering Nigerians, the victims of failed governance, the frustrated Nigerians. Now we go sit on the judgment seat come February 2023. It is the issue of morality. Is this the kind of man associated, mopped around him so many controversies, scandal, and the rest of them? Is that the kind of man Nigeria needs as their president? Nigerians, I'm asking you this question. It is up to you. I've delivered a message to you. Don't say you weren't warned. GGM, Good Governance Ministry, as an advocate, will continue to speak out until the mumu of Nigerian people, some of the Nigerian people, will be resetted. I'm signing out. Drop your comments. I want to have your opinion on this. Stay safe. Don't forget to be liking these videos. Once you watch, like it. It is very important so that more people will get to see it. Bye-bye.